12-5? Detroit could be unstoppable. But one brutal weakness on the offensive line could blow up the Lions' entire Super Bowl dream before the season even gets serious.
So where are the Lions project according to The Athletic? Last year's team, 9-8, didn't make the playoffs. The headline for the Lions is they've got a new offensive coordinator. The question on the Lions is, how does their secondary fare? I think these are good questions, the questions we brought up. The projection for the Lions is 12-5.
Lofty.
It says a last place finish gives Detroit the league's easiest schedule. That, plus its talent on both sides of the ball, makes it a likely bounce-back season after falling from 15-2 to 9-8 last year. The Lions have significant questions, but they are my dark horse Super Bowl pick. The injury luck has to change eventually, right? This is from The Athletic's Jacob Robinson, and this is he wrote this a couple of nights ago, actually. Interesting. 12-5 for the Lions this year is his prediction.
I wish he wouldn't have said the dark horse Super Bowl pick. This team fares so much better when no one is saying that, but I totally agree with him. That's exactly what they are. Is this team the best team in the North?
I think they are. But my reasoning is, first of all, I don't trust Kyler Murray. I loved him as a college player. I just don't know if he's an NFL top 10 caliber quarterback, top 15 quarterback that you need to have to advance in the playoffs. I like the Packers. I think Jordan Love is good, but the Packers have some question marks in what they've got going with them. The Bears are the one that everybody thinks is the easy button, that they've got all the talent in the world. And they've got a lot of talent on that team. I'm not sold on Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams did a great job of not turning the ball over last year. And maybe Ben Johnson's going to unleash him a little bit more. And I know everybody talks so glowingly about Ben Johnson and what he did with the Lions. And yeah, I give him some credit for that. But he learned from Dan Campbell. So I don't want to give Ben Johnson all the credit in the world. I give him some credit, absolutely. And now he's out on his own. And now he's got to work with a whole new team, whole new set of resources. And we think that the Bears are going to be offensively, that they've got some really good players. I think they've got great tight ends. I think the quarterback is so damn athletic that he can extend plays, and that's always something. But I question whether Caleb Williams has it between the ears. Is he the guy? It's not that he's a dumb. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, does he have the right mentality to know when it's time to throw the ball away and when it's time to take off and run and try to extend the play? Because I think that's a tricky thing for quarterbacks to learn when they have the ability to run. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's not the running quarterback. I'm not saying that. He is an incredibly talented quarterback. But you have to learn when it's time to tuck and run or when it's time to throw the ball away. And I'm not sure if that's something that's going to click with him, because I think he always wants to make the play.
What evidence do we have that he's better than Kyler Murray? We know Kyler Murray can play hero ball. We know Caleb Williams can play hero ball. We're not seeing it with the completion percentage from Caleb Williams. Think about how the narratives of those two guys are so vastly different. Kyler Murray's on his last chance. Caleb Williams, top 10 quarterback. People forget that when Kyler Murray led the Cardinals to the playoffs, he was in those top 10 QB lists as well. What evidence do you have that Williams is better? Williams has Ben Johnson as head coach. Now Kyler Murray is Kevin O'Connell, quarterback whisperer, as head coach. By the way, the Lions, I'm not convinced, Gator, they are the best team in the division, but I'm picking them to win the division because the Bears have the 7th hardest schedule in the NFL. The Packers have the 9th hardest schedule in the NFL, and the Lions have the easiest schedule in the NFL.
So kind of unpacking this article from The Athletic, specifically looking at the NFC North, do you agree with it that the Lions will be the team to beat in the division? The writer for The Athletic has them at 12-5.
But here's where this gets absolutely insane. Detroit's Super Bowl dream may not be threatened by the Packers or Bears. It could be collapsing from the inside, starting with one position nobody can afford to ignore.
There was a lot of talk about the Lions the last few weeks. But J-Mac, we went big on Tunzel for the Commanders.
Yeah.
You could argue the center and that new center exchange with the quarterback might be just as significant for Detroit.
I think even more significant for the fact that there's question marks along this Lions offensive line. And you look at what goes for them on offense, Jared Goff. And when he's protected, he goes out and plays like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Penei Sewell, their all-pro, all-world right tackle, is moving to the other side of the line of scrimmage. They have competition at guard, a rookie at the right tackle. But there's so many question marks along this offensive line. Mays was brought in to shore up that center spot. So now him going through this injury, not sure when he's going to be back. Now, how do you figure that out to be able to get Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, all of these guys the ball?
Is Jahmyr Gibbs going to be able to do the same thing he did if the center is not the best center and maybe the offensive line is not what they thought it was going to be?
He better. I mean, they're going to need him to, because the part that J Mac is not saying is Jared Goff is slow. And if you have interior pressure, it's going to be very hard to run this offense. Now, Jared Goff, to me, is the best quarterback in this division, and he's the most consistent. Drew Petzing comes in, and he runs that Shanahan-McVay-style offense with Jahmyr Gibbs. It allows you to exploit defenses in their matchup because he might be in the game in the backfield. You can put him in the slot, and he's just as good as any slot receiver in the game. And his ability to both run and catch the football will put him in a position to have his best year yet because there's no David Montgomery to split those touches with.
With so much talk over the last few days about Sean Mannion and Declan Doyle, we thought it'd be interesting to introduce you again or reintroduce you to the Lions' new offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing. Take a listen. Take a look. This is Drew Petzing, all right? Entering his 14th season. He was the Cardinals OC the last 3 years, but was a Browns quarterbacks coach, but the real bulk of it was a Vikings assistant coach, 2014 to 2019. Graz in a league with so many new offensive coordinator hires. What does Drew Petzing bring to the table for these guys?
Well, experience, and that's we talk about. Declan Doyle, Sean Mannion. I mean, they're doing this for the first time. This is a coach who's been coaching for 14 years at the NFL level. Last seen executing a pretty effective, high-volume passing offense with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback in Arizona. So we know he can do it. The Lions move. Ben Johnson gets the head coach job with the Bears last year. The Lions bring in John Morton. Didn't work. Petzing is well regarded. We know exactly what he's going to run. The center loss is tough. That was a targeted free agent signing for them. They felt like he was the kind of guy they needed, schematically and in terms of toughness. You go back 2 years ago when they were in the NFC Championship game, or 3 years ago, 2 years ago they went 15-2. It was about that offensive line being rock solid. They have not sufficiently reacted to all the changes along that line, and that could be the kind of thing that limits their ceiling.
Detroit went from 15-2 to 9-8, from NFC powerhouse to last place in the North. And now, somehow, they're being projected to go 12-5 and win the division. That sounds like a bounce-back season, but there's a dangerous contradiction hiding underneath it. The Lions may have the easiest schedule in the NFL, but their biggest threat might not be Green Bay, Chicago, or Minnesota. It could be the Lions themselves. Their secondary has questions. Their offensive coordinator is new. And now one critical position on the offensive line is suddenly surrounded by uncertainty. So before we crown Detroit the NFC North favorite, we need to ask the uncomfortable question. What if the foundation isn't as strong as everyone thinks?
And that brings us straight to the argument that could decide the entire division. I still believe Detroit is the team to beat in the North, and the reason is simple. Quarterback stability and matchup potential. Jared Goff, when protected, has played like a top 10 quarterback. Jahmyr Gibbs gives this offense something most defenses simply cannot solve. He can line up in the backfield, move into the slot, run the football, catch the football, and force defenses to make impossible choices. Meanwhile, Green Bay faces the 9th hardest schedule. Chicago faces the 7th hardest, while Detroit gets the easiest schedule in the league. That matters. But schedule strength can only help you if your own house stays standing. But while Detroit may have the easiest road, the offensive line could turn that road into a minefield. This is where the story gets serious. Detroit is changing pieces along an offensive line that was once the identity of this team. Penei Sewell is moving to the other side. There's competition at guard. There's a rookie at right tackle. And the team brought in Mason Graham. Wait, no, the critical issue here is the center position, where Detroit expected a targeted addition to stabilize the interior. Now, injury uncertainty has created another problem. And that matters because Goff is not a quarterback who can simply escape pressure. Interior pressure is poison for this offense. If the center position collapses, the dominoes could fall quickly. Goff under pressure, Gibbs getting fewer clean opportunities, and Detroit's entire offensive rhythm starting to crack.
And if that center issue sounds small, remember what made Detroit special in the first place. The offensive line was supposed to be the foundation.
Detroit also has to replace Ben Johnson's influence. The new offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, brings something the Lions desperately need: experience. Petzing is entering his 14th NFL season and spent the last 3 years as Arizona's offensive coordinator after working with the Browns and Vikings. He has already operated a high-volume passing offense, so this isn't some inexperienced coach being thrown into the fire. But there's a catch. Detroit is asking a new coordinator to operate with a different quarterback, different resources, and significant changes up front. And that means the offense cannot simply assume it will reproduce what worked before.
Because the real question isn't whether Petzing can call plays, it's whether Detroit can give him the structure necessary to make those plays work. And this is where the debate gets explosive. Chicago has talent everywhere, and Ben Johnson now gets his own team. Caleb Williams has the arm, the athleticism, and the ability to create something from nothing. But does he know when to stop chasing the impossible play? Green Bay has Jordan Love, but the Packers have questions of their own. And then there's Minnesota, where the quarterback situation creates another layer of uncertainty. So yes, Detroit may be the safest pick, but 12-5 is not guaranteed. The Lions are being asked to recover from a stunning 6-win drop in one season, while changing coaches, changing personnel, and trying to rebuild an offensive line that once looked nearly untouchable. And that brings us to the uncomfortable conclusion. Detroit can absolutely win this division, but the Super Bowl conversation may be premature. A 12-5 season? Absolutely possible. A division title? I still lean Detroit. A Super Bowl run? That depends on one thing: the offensive line staying healthy and functional. Because the Lions don't need to become more talented, they need to remain structurally sound. The easiest schedule gives them an opening. Goff gives them stability. Gibbs gives them explosiveness. But if the center position and interior protection become weaknesses, Detroit could watch its entire offensive identity unravel again. That's why the most dangerous headline isn't Lions projected 12-5. It's this: Detroit has the talent to win the North, but one collapsing position could decide whether this team is a contender or another disappointment.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.